helpful if I turn my mic on. There we go. Welcome, everyone, to episode 29 of Dial the Gate. Rick is laughing at me. My name is David Reed. Welcome to the show, everyone. Happy Sunday to you. We got through another week. I have a tremendous actor on the other screen with me here. We're going to be bringing him in just a moment. Very fortunate to have him. Been watching him for years now. You name a sci-fi show, there's a very reasonable chance he's in it, and a lot of other great content besides. But before we get started, if you like Stargate and you want to see more content like this on YouTube, it would mean a great deal if you click that like button. It really makes a difference with YouTube's algorithm and will definitely help the show grow its audience. Please also consider sharing this video with a Stargate friend. And if you want to get notified about future episodes, click the subscribe icon. Giving the bell icon a click will notify you the moment a new video drops, and you'll get my notification of any last-minute guest changes. This is key if you plan on watching live. Clips from this live stream will be released over the course of the next several days on both the Dial the Gate and GateWorld.net YouTube channels. I'm going to go ahead and talk with Rick. You all in the YouTube gallery talks amongst yourselves. We have moderators standing by here to submit your questions into the chat for Rick, and I'll be taking those as we move throughout the show. And then afterwards, I have some Kytano art to show everybody, and we'll be talking about our sponsors as well. And enough yapping out of me. Mr. Rick Worthy.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Mr. Rick, man, I'm so happy, David. Thank you for this. Thank you for this.
I have always been a tremendous fan, and I was like, trying to figure out when is the right time to ask to bring him in. And it's like, you know what, wave one. Let's just go out there and see if he'd be interested, because we talked on Dialing Home 2 years ago, the MGM project that is no longer around. I don't think we were with Christopher Judge.
Yeah, we were in Vancouver at the Sutton Hotel, and I think I ordered you and Chris ordered 5 bowls of French fries.
You asked for French fries. We were like, what can we get for you? And the French fries will do it. The French fries will do it. Yeah, I was there with Chris. We were filming for Dialing Home, and I was running through the Sutton downstairs. And I told this story before on the other one. I was like, I think I just saw a Cylon. I was like, it is! It's Simon! But he was
that
fracking Cylon. Those toasters. But I was like, you know what? We were going to have you on the show. We wanted to have you on that one. It's like, he's downstairs right now. And you had your dog kenneled or something. We managed to sneak you in for about 45 minutes. Didn't get to nearly talk about enough with you. So I'm really glad to have you on now.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for inviting me. I had a lovely time hanging out with you and Chris that day.
Isn't he awesome?
Yeah, man. Yeah, and he's so cool, and I think I've said this before in a couple of interviews. People have asked me what's your all-time favorite job you've ever had, and I always say, well, it's sort of hard to rank them, but I always say Stargate's in my top 5, easily in my top 5. It was an experience, and Chris made it wonderful. I have to just be very honest. He was as well as Peter DeLuise.
Peter DeLuise directed The Warrior. And Chris was the story by for your episode. It was his concept.
Story by, yeah.
Why is it in your top 5? Is it the people? Is it the story? Is it what it did for your career?
I think it was the. I was a fan of the show to start with, and I love the movie, of course, and with Kurt Russell and when the series came on, I said, "Oh, they're making a series out of one of my favorite films, man! This should be really cool, So and I started watching it, from the first season, and I thought it was fun and great and different and really really well done. So I became a fan of the series, and then I was just kind of ready to do something different, man. I just a couple of maybe 2-3 years before that, I had just come off of Magnificent Seven. We got canceled. We were on CBS, and I had a couple of jobs in between. I worked a bit on Star Trek, but Battlestar and all that. That was later. That was after Stargate. So Stargate was the role, and the role of Kytano. It really kind of put me back in the sci-fi game, the world. And I was ready for it because I love science fiction. And it was fun and challenging. And Peter said, the second I got to set, Peter DeLuise gave me his cell phone number. He said, dude, if you had any questions about anything, any of the mythology, anything, the story, you can
He's
call
your man.
me day or night. Yeah. He said, let me know, like 24/7, let me know, because you have to be on this,
So I take it directors don't do that. Give out their cell phones openly.
I don't think so. I mean, not often, I guess, unless it's like it's sort of, special situation. But the mythology of the show, like, you have to understand the show. You have to understand what a Goa'uld is. You have to understand what Jaffa Warrior is, and what the Stargate is and how it works. And, and I soaked it all up, like a sponge. So I was ready for it. And I was physically ready for it too. Like, I was ready to do something that incorporated fighting and stunt fighting.
And you're Taekwondo training, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And this, when I got there, I remember the first thing they asked me was, can you do anything? Like, can you do kicking? Can you do punching?
Well, let me tell you, I can flip myself in the air like a rag doll.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And I said, I can, yeah. I maybe, and I always say, I will try for sure, but I could do a lot of the stuff that they wanted me to do. There were a couple of things in the fight that weren't me, but like, especially with facing me with the camera facing my face, I really tried to do it myself, so I did about 92% of the fighting,
I want to come back to more of that. That was The Matrix had just come out. Peter wanted to do a very unique track shot with the camera where it's in a little bit more slow motion. I want to get to that in a little bit. One of the cooler shots of the entire franchise. Have you been a sci-fi fan since you were little? And what captivates you about the genre? When did you really get into it?
Well, I was born in 1967, and one of the first shows that I fell in love with at the age of 5 was Lost in Space, and and then of course Star Trek, the original series. Like, I'm from Detroit, Michigan. Like, me and my brother, like, all the kids in our neighborhood, we love Star Trek. Like, we wanted to be on board the Enterprise, and go to other worlds, like, it was so cool, man, and it was so racially diverse, and you would see Uhura, and then you see Spock and Kirk, and like all these different races all together aboard this ship, and they're all off together, exploring the world.
One common goal.
And it was, to boldly go where no one has gone before. And I was like, man, that's so cool, and I think that stayed with me my whole life, and it stayed with me all the way up until I really became an actor, and I came to LA 25 years ago. I wanted to be a cop on NYPD Blue, because I thought, I love NYPD Blue. I think it's one of the best series like I've ever seen. One of the best pilots I've ever seen was the pilot of NYPD Blue. And I did an episode of NYPD Blue. It took about a year, and it was cool. It was fun, but it wasn't fireworks. Like, it wasn't, you know what I mean? Like, it didn't hit me. And then my agent called me and said, do you like Star Trek? And I said, yeah, I freaking love Star Trek.
I like Star Trek.
Do I like Star Trek? Yeah. I was like, that's the golden question, that's the $50,000 question. And then I said, yes, I do. And she said, well, there's a video game that they're making called The Klingon Warrior. They're going to shoot it live action, like an 8-day shoot, or a 12-day shoot or something. And I got you an audition to be one of the Cylons if you want it. I said, yeah, I want it, So I went to Paramount, auditioned, met Jonathan Frakes and a few other casting directors that were in the room. And Jonathan liked me and he hired me, and that got me on the sci-fi radar.
I didn't know you were in Star Trek Klingon. I love that video game.
Do you really?
I love it. And Borg that came after it. Yeah, because Galron is the lead. Will this be the right decision? Will that be the right decision? Make a decision. It's a brilliant game. It was experimental technology. The whole thing is video. It's clickable, choose your own adventure. So that's great that you were part of that.
Dude, I did not know that first of all, you're the very first person ever that I have met who says, oh, I love that game. Or even not only that, but that the game. Because a lot of people like, well, was it an episode of a series? I'm like, no, it was an actual
live action.
Yeah.
It was one of the reasons why when I graduated from college, my final was a choose your own adventure DVD movie.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Directed and
like
produced.
You have an option of how
it's 15 different endings. Yeah.
15 different endings. Yeah.
Yeah. And now, on Netflix, we've got, Black Mirror shooting episodes like that. So it was well ahead of its time.
Well ahead of its time. That's 25 years ago. You know, so I mean, and now we live in the age of this.
Exactly.
And phones.
And unfortunately, little else than this. So,
yeah, exactly.
I've always wanted to ask you. 3947.
Yeah.
How did you breathe?
It was really hard, man, because you're basically 3947. Star Trek Voyager.
Voyager. Mm-hmm.
That was my very first. In fact, I was doing a podcast interview maybe 3-4 weeks ago, and they asked me about that too. They said, "What was it like working on Star Trek Voyager?" Because they love Voyager and DS9 and Enterprise. And I said, "Well, that was my very first." Well, actually, I did a podcast with Garrett and Robbie.
Yes, yeah, the Delta Flyers.
Yeah. Delta Flyers, yeah. And they asked me. They both asked me. They said, "What was it like being inside the suit? The robot suit?" And I said, "Man, it was cool as hell, but it was really hard to visually see anything because I just had tiny little dots where the eyes were. And if you know the episode, like the episode, I know the episode. The character looks like a mannequin, Yeah, in fact, I think Jonathan Frakes even said, "Yeah, you look like a really cool, badass mannequin."
It's very simple. It's very
simple.
Cylon similar, but it's the everything is in the articulations of the performance. He's very formal, Was the dialogue pre-recorded so you could mime it, or did you actually try to communicate the dialogue through that face, a la Anthony Daniels, C-3PO?
That's exactly what I did. Yeah. And I had to push through the mannequin mask, and speak as audibly as I could, But I had to ADR the entire performance.
Of course.
Yeah. And I'm one of these actors. I'm one of these freakish actors. I love ADR. I love a second chance if I need it,
Make it
and I
perfect.
said I'm going to probably ADR this entire thing, and I ADR the whole thing, and I'm glad that I did.
Well, and I'm sure having Roxanne, at the other end of a lot of those scenes was fantastic. And what a director she's turned into, man, oh man. So
she's directing everything.
I know her, Amanda Tapping, and Amanda. Have you had a chance to work with Amanda yet as a director?
I have not. She directed, I would say, at least 1, maybe 2 episodes of The Magicians, my last gig, but I was not in those episodes. But I saw her on set. I saw her walk by, or she was in the office picking up scripts or whatever it was. And I said, "Oh man, that's awesome!" And I'm thinking, I hope I'm in the next episode so I can work with her. But
absolutely. But before I get off of Star Trek, I was always hoping that the Equinox crew would make a return appearance in season 6 and 7, because you were finally on that ship, and we never followed up on what happened to Lessing. So.
I know.
Were you hoping at that point? Oh, I've got to be in the next 2 seasons somewhere, even if it's 1 episode.
I was hoping, of course, but it didn't work out that way.
But you got Insurrection. So
Insurrection.
There's that.
That's the episode where I learned the art of what Jonathan Frakes calls submarine acting. And submarine acting is when you're in a ship in outer space, but the hull of the ship starts cracking. So he said it was the coolest thing. Like he said, "Okay, I'm going to teach everybody how to do this. It's called submarine acting. You have to pretend you're in a submarine, like deep in the ocean, and then you hear it, and then water starts creeping in, and then you're like, shit." And if you think about it, that will scare the hell out of you.
Of course it will. Yeah, you're about to decompress and implode.
Absolutely, you're like, death is imminent, baby, like in a matter of seconds. So it was really fun working with him, and even though I was on set for just maybe 2 weeks,
and some amazing prosthetic makeup. But at least you could see that time. So.
Yeah, I could see, and I had a big lizard head.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he was a cool character. Was it Ilorian officer?
He was an Ilorian. Yeah, separation in 20 seconds, counting down.
Yes, that's it. Separation 5 seconds. 2 seconds.
I have to say, you don't even have to be watching the screen. You hear your voice. It's like, I know exactly who that is. And I think it's one of the reasons that you were picked for the Warrior is you were an orator. You can, the lines in the Warrior, some of those lines are so magnetic, and you can see how people, be they good, somewhere in the middle, or evil, are just like, wow, this person is captivating. I mean, you look at these old reels of Hitler, and it's like, man, you can see the magnetism there. And even someone like Kytano, who was actually a villain at the end, boy, oh boy, you can understand why people would just flock to him.
Yeah, and I love. Well, thank you, man. Thank you so much. You have no idea. That means more than what any critic could write about what I did or anything. It's I worked really hard on that, and I really needed him to sound and be captivating as possible. Magnetic, charismatic figure. Comfortable in front of a million people if needed. So and everyone's listening. So.
Exactly.
They gave me the platform and the dialogue for it. It was very well written script, and I read it in LA, and I was like, oh, this is going to be really good. But it's like that part of you is like, I'm a little scared because, and which means that it's challenging. It's going to challenge me,
Well, I imagine that there's always a fear. It's like, what I know what they want, but what if I can't pull it off to what it is that I think that they want, because he's a very, we've never really had a character like that. It's always just been Teal'c and Braytek. And then this other Jaffa comes into the mix who everyone flocks to in ways that Teal'c and Braytek could never rally people to their cause. And this guy just sweeps it all away. At this point, Teal'c and Braytek are like, anybody will do. Please, let's all follow this guy. Let's just come together.
Absolutely. I watched it last night, the episode. It's like this. Again, 25 years later, we have this amazing streaming technology. And I pull up my Netflix on my new computer that I have here. And I said, punched in Stargate. Oh, it's all of everything. It's right there.
It's there. It's on Netflix now.
Yes. That's awesome. Like, I didn't know that, and I knew it would probably be there, but, maybe it's on Amazon. Maybe it's on YouTube. I don't know. I've been able to get a lot of stuff on YouTube Red and, buy movies and stuff like that. I have the whole, it's all available right there on Netflix. So I watched it last night. I watched it twice, and it's been a long time since I've, did a proper viewing and sit down and don't answer the phone or just watch it. And
is it as good as the first time around?
Man, I'm really. And I say this with all humility, man. I'm really proud of it, man. It's a cool episode from top to bottom, and I said this to you and Chris. It's Teal'c's, from my point of view. Yes, Kytano is this charismatic, leader, gatherer of men, but it's Teal'c's. It's his unwavering, unshakable belief in him. In Kytano, like he keeps clashing with O'Neill,
both of them
like
do.
Like it's just like bam, 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 and he's like, Kytano, will set us free, and then O'Neill's not buying it, they keep clashing throughout the whole episode, and then when they go on the raid of the near East Jaffa, and then Kytano grabs all of those guys. All those Jaffa warriors, and then they march, like the music, everything is just wonderful. And then O'Neill and Teal'c clash one more time, and like it's his belief, that's so wonderful to me. And then it sets up the betrayal at the end, and then he's, oh, dude, I was crying, man. He comes back, deceiver. Yeah, it's almost like cool, the challenge, the gauntlet, bam, So I thought the emotional stakes were played out at the right speed and the right tempo all the way through to the fight at the end.
The Jaffa have always looked to someone else to save them, and I have I wince when people say to me in person, "Oh, so and so is going to make things better." Politician X, Y, or Z, so and so will do this. You have to do it yourself. You have to be involved directly as much as you can. Someone else is not going to come and save you. You know, you have to be you have to sandbag and prepare for that hurricane. And I think the Warrior is a prime example of a civilization or a group of people taking an idea and just moving the idea over to someone else and saying, all right, we're not going to follow a Gould. We're going to follow him. And the ultimate irony is he's a Gould.
Right.
So.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I totally 100% agree. And, you know, and that's applied to right now, what's happening in the world now. You know, people have to fight for their own communities and their own values and the things that they want to make the world a better place, you know. And it becomes an age-old lesson of following someone blindly, you know, and where that can lead. You know,
not to say that you don't follow people. We're built to follow leaders, but you know, at the same time, keep that in mind, always in the back of your head.
Keep that in mind.
Absolute power corrupts.
Absolute power corrupts, and power corrupts absolutely.
Exactly.
And always have that third eye watching all the time. You know.
Rick, I want to take a step back. So you grew up in Detroit, sci-fi fan. Who are your personal heroes? One of the things that I've discovered about this show is that we're exploring the theme of heroes, especially this year. You know, the people who have made us better than we were the day before.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Who are your personal heroes?
Well, I have a couple, and I've added a couple. So I've always said that if I could meet someone, you know, in this life, some kind of way, if that was possible to, you know, transport to some other realm of existence, whatever you want to call it, you know, man, I would love to sit down and have lunch with Bruce Lee, and man, he influenced me so much, not only in his fighting, which was him, but his philosophy of life, you know, and which he put into his fighting, you know. That's what made him great, you know, is his approach to life itself. He wanted Jeet Kune Do to be Taoism in motion, you know, just, you know, movement without thought, you know, and man, ever since I was a kid, I was like, God, I just think he's amazing. I started reading books about him, you know, as I got older and things like that. Bruce Lee, and I would love to have met Muhammad Ali.
Gosh.
Muhammad Ali. I had a gorgeous painting by Keith Haring, I believe is the artist's name, and it was up on my wall in other apartment I had years ago. And it's Muhammad Ali standing over Sonny Liston. You know, he's like, bam, you know, like that, you know. And it was just a perfect capture of this young 22-year-old champion who conquered the world, you know. And it was something so great about Ali, like he believed in himself, you know, and he believed he could do it, you know. And even though people doubted him, you know, they doubted that he could become champion of the world at such a young age, and you know, he did it. He went to the Olympics and did it there, and he came back and did it back home. You know, he was just an amazing person, and what he stood up for was amazing too. You know, he didn't want to go to Vietnam. You know, he wanted to stay here and fight for Black people here in the United States. You know, and I just respect someone who has such a value system. You know, it's, from my point of view, speaks of righteousness. You know. And then
some things greater than yourself, you know?
Oh, dude, absolutely. You know, exactly. You know, he put things greater, you know, more important than fighting, you know, is human rights. And that's what made him great, you know. And I love Barack Obama. I love Bernie Sanders. And my latest hero is Dr. Anthony Fauci's. Yeah. So,
I mean, at some point he's gonna get himself on the cover of Time magazine. So if he hasn't already, I think he probably already has. But I mean, like the person of the year,
yeah.
Hopefully,
Absolutely.
2021 person of the year. So
Absolutely, man.
please God, let us get through this thing.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are my heroes, and not to go into a whole thing about politics, but I was walking down Larchmont Boulevard, not too far from Paramount Studios, actually, Hollywood. I happened to look into a store this 3 weeks ago, and I found this little Obama doll. I don't know if you can see it. It's so cool. And I said, you know what? I'm buying this for me.
Adults can have action figures.
I can have it. That's right. And then this is the one, and a lot of people have already bought this one, but this is the one that's sold. It's the Biden doll, and it's sold out so fast that the guy said, "There's only 3 left. Like, I'll sell you this one if you really want." I said, I want it." Yeah, I mean that's where especially in this year, this unusual, outrageous, unprecedented year, man. I've become a news junkie, and right now I'm reading Promised Land by Barack Obama, and it's amazing. I read Michelle Obama's book too, Becoming, and that's amazing. So that's kind of where my head is right now. Is like we need things to be better.
Mm-hmm. And it's so easy to get absorbed in all of the negative. We think that Twitter is the real world. It's not. The human to human contact that we have been lacking has, I think, really been showing itself in negative ways this year. I think we are not valuing each other like we used to, and we need to take more time with one another and to listen more.
For sure. Yeah, I totally agree, and I'm hoping that will be 2021. I'm really hoping.
I agree. Rick, what are some of the performances that you have done that stand out to you as milestones in your career for their difficulty, their the skill that was required, but when you were studying and exploring these characters and bringing them to life, things that you didn't expect to find in that exploration of certain characters that resonate with you over time, and like, what, that was a great role that impacted me. That wasn't just a performance.
Yeah. I'm so glad you asked that, because I think every actor has that list in their head. Like, if someone asked me that question, what would I say? I have a massive love of science fiction, as you know.
Oh, really?
Right. Yeah. Tell me something I don't know. Right. But I did one episode of a TV series that probably very few people have heard of, called Boomtown, and it's a cop show that starred Michael T. Williamson and Donnie Wahlberg.
Okay.
And it was about cops in LA, homicide cops, detectives in LA. I think it went 2 seasons, and it was, I thought, a fabulous show about police officers and detectives in Los Angeles. We've seen it so many times, but this was so different and so unique, and I love the actors. And I was a guest in one of the episodes, and I had to play someone who was closer to my age, and then you see him. Well, you see him closer to like maybe 30, 32 years old, 33 years old or so. But it's like from like 1980, something like that. The character played by Michael T. Williamson, he flashbacks to when he was a child, and he was pretty hard to say this, but the character was sexually abused by his coach, and I was hired to cast to play the coach when back in like 1980s, early 80s version, which looked like me, now, and then present day. So they had to age me to
up to the present.
Up to the present, and the character had physically changed like drastically. He wasn't, he was just not a young man anymore, and almost unrecognizable in terms of how he looked present day. So I had mustache and hair and graying hair and probably even maybe mid to late 70s was the first time you see him in the flashback. So and then up to current day, he's aged a lot. He's like 35, 40 years later, and he's senior citizen. So it was challenging playing a role, first of all, someone who's a pedophile, and then secondly, someone who has aged so much. Like I had to really convincingly do that. And it was all in the physicality and everything. Mustache and the graying, that helped, but you have to really capture it. How someone would walk who's 64 years old. That type of thing. And it took me to some very challenging places emotionally, and it was a physically drawn out episode, emotionally drawn out episode. And by the time we were done shooting, I was wiped out. So I love Michael T. Williamson, and he was so nice to me, and it's an amazing episode. And he all the producers told me they said they were glad they cast me. So
it has to be a situation where you must have to put yourself in a place where you're continually reminding yourself, I am servicing a broader story. Right. I have my part to play, maybe a reprehensible one, but it's in service of the story,
the bigger story. Yeah. And the character, and I read it. I said, I trust that this will be they will serve this character in the story in the right way. And I'm going to just skip ahead to the end of that episode. Michael T's character, I think the character, he had such a cool name. The character's name was Fearless. That was like his street name, but everyone just called him, like Fearless. He was an amazing LAPD homicide detective, and he wanted to track down this guy because this guy had abused Fearless when he was a kid. So now, 35, 40 years later, he uses the computer information, the technology they have at the police department to find where this guy is. And Fearless finds him, and in his mind, he does a playback of what he would be like as an adult fighting this pedophile, and he whips his ass. Like he just beats this pedophile.
Oh, like he's previewing what he's going to do to this guy.
Yeah, like in his mind. Then when he finds out, when he knocks on his door and finds him, he's this old, weak man who has nothing left. He has a chair. He has his Bible sitting on his desk. He's extremely poor. He still did what he did.
But yeah, he's not expecting what he sees.
Not the guy from 40 years ago, right? And it's amazing because Fearless pulls out his gun and aims it right at his forehead, but then he decides not to kill him, and he just walks away. Like, it's powerful, man. Like, it's so powerful. And I was like the whole scene just played out, and I was, the character was just, grateful for his life, and incredibly sorry for the man he used to be.
We can't know what we would be like until we're in that situation, where someone has wronged us so severely, and it's not up to us to say one way or another how something should be done, when you get into a situation like that. But grace is still in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
and it's
pops up when you don't think it will.
Yeah.
Tell us about. Go ahead.
No, that was it.
Okay. No, I was like, if there's more to this, I want to hear it. So good. So, tell us about getting hired for the Warrior, because you had been a fan. And
I've been a fan. And the Warrior, as I said, is easily, Kytano is one of my, not only the character, but just being on Stargate is one of my top 5 jobs of all time. I don't know the ranking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Well, still, it's saying something, man. That's really good.
It's up there, yeah. And I went into audition. Believe it or not, when I went into audition for Kytano, I assumed it would be standing up, because the first time we see him, he's giving his speech, to the masses. But the casting director said, no, let's do it sitting down, So I'm sitting down just like I am right now, and just like you are, and he's 4 feet from each other. He says, okay, you ready? I said, yeah. Action, and I can't remember which scene it was that I did.
Oh, it wasn't necessarily the opening monologue?
It wasn't the open monologue, but
Okay.
it was, I think it was the scene with me and Tilk, when Kytano recruits Tilk to come onto the raid, of Near T's Jaffa, like, come on this mission with me. But I think Tilt's been waiting to be formally asked by Kytano,
right,
like, to come on this raid, and so I think it was that scene, and I did the scene, and then he said, okay, that was good. Now I want you to really, like, just really use your voice,
dial it up.
Like turn it up, So then I became Kytano, and I started speaking like this, like more like pow, like it just came from way down here, which I normally would do if the space provided for it, but I think he wanted to get an idea of what it was like, just more intimate, and but still with command, and that made it, I think an enormous difference, because I would normally do that anyway, but typically for an audition, if I'm that close to someone, I'll kind of keep it a little bit more less, a little bit toned down. But he wanted it to be big, but not so big, but big enough to get an idea that can I speak in front of 1,000 people?
Yeah. Is there a range there that you can dial? It's not stuck on one. It wouldn't work the other way.
Exactly.
Exactly right. People like this are not, they're chameleons, for good or ill. They can mirror whatever situation that they're in. So.
Right. That's right.
So was this an LA audition? Was it taped, sent up to Vancouver? Or?
It was taped. Very different than they do it now. But yeah, it was taped, and I think they mailed it to Vancouver, or I don't know how they did that back then. But now it's all.
I know.
Okay, they got it. They literally got it like 4 seconds. I mean, it's like, that's the digital world we're in right now. But at the time, you're like, we got it. We're going to FedEx it. They'll get it tomorrow afternoon. Hopefully get a call by tomorrow night. Like that's how you're as an actor, you're thinking like, okay, they're going to get it tomorrow at 4 p.m. to Vancouver, and then maybe tomorrow night, which has happened a couple of times, you'll know right away. But typically 2, 3, 4 days, you'll know yes or no.
So I was about to ask. So typically it's around 2 to 4 days that you find out.
That's typically, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I once did an episode of Dark Angel. It was literally the very last episode of the whole series. And the big thing about that one was James Cameron, who was exec producing or co-exec producing Dark Angel with Jessica Alba as the star. They were bringing James in to direct the finale.
Wow.
So yeah, you're thinking Titanic, Terminator.
Intense personality, one way or the other. Yeah. Man's a genius.
Yeah, no shit. And I knew, I think that night that I auditioned, and then I think I auditioned in the morning, and then my agent called me before 7 p.m. and said, "You got your passport?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Okay, because you're flying out tomorrow morning." Like, it was super fast. Yeah. But that's rare. I think it's pretty rare.
How much of that was location, and how much of it? I'm assuming the tents were on a soundstage. So like the interior shooting, and then everything else for you was pretty much outdoors in the GVRD.
Outdoors, yeah. It was all outdoors for Stargate, right? All out. Pretty much everything I did was outdoors in the tents. Yeah, I love the tents. They were outdoors at the GVRD as well, I think. I can't quite remember.
Yeah, the mountain range there. That whole just row of beautiful mountains and all the tents they had set up for all the different sects of Jaffa. Yeah. So it was quite an ordeal. I worked at PropWorks. We sold the Stargate, a lot of the Stargate props and stuff. And one of the things that I sold was a model of your camp. And it had tents, and everything was built. And there were only like 3 or 4 of those. So this was something that Peter had really worked to develop, and then he wanted it to be exactly right because he's just the sick genius that he is. He wanted it to be perfect. So what was it?
I mean, it was cool. I mean, Vancouver, man, you can shoot anything there. It's incredible, and you can make it look like New York. You can make it look like the desert. You can be in another galaxy.
Nuclear Caprica? In the mountains. It's probably the same spot.
It's the same thing, but I think probably I think somewhere we were talking about this. There's this, I'm sure you've heard this as well. There's this running. I don't know if it's considered a joke, but I love Jackie Chan.
Okay.
He's like one of the people I would love to meet, if not work with. I think he's just phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's Charlie Chaplin plus Bruce Lee mixed together. Like he's incredible.
That's true.
Yeah, and does his own stunts and he's broken his bones 50,000 times, and he still
doesn't care.
Going, Yeah, he doesn't care. He's like, okay, let's do it again. Like Jackie, time out. Like he just goes, man. He's also a huge lover of dogs, and when he came to, I think he was in LA, I'm sure many times, but he posted something on his Instagram or Twitter, and he was at Petco. And he was so happy to be there. He says, we don't really have these where I'm from. This is awesome, And he was sitting next to this gorgeous husky, It was great. But it was so cool. But Jackie Chan did a movie called Rumble in the Bronx, I believe. And if you look at it, there's a certain shot in Rumble in the Bronx where it's clearly the mountains of Vancouver.
This must be a Bronx from a different dimension.
Different dimension Bronx. That's not the Bronx that we know, But it was so cool because it just for 3 seconds you say, oh my God, we used to go skiing over there, but that's not the Bronx. That's
Smallville
Vancouver.
Did that too. It's like, this is not Kansas.
It ain't Kansas, baby. No.
That's funny. So you get the part. You're up there, and Peter DeLuise, you got him directing. He gives you his number. Christopher Judge comes in, Tony Amendola. Everyone has seen Tony Amendola. My gosh, man. God bless him. Braytuck.
Right. I love him.
So
love him.
What was the costume like, getting into the physicality of this character, the duality of knowing that you are playing something that is pretending to be something else? Fill us in on sinking your teeth into this magnificent
absolutely.
Role.
This is a great actorly question, because one of the things that helps me a lot is, in addition to the script, which I start with, every actor starts with the script. The next part of creating the whole character is what the character is wearing, I almost immediately want to get into costume right away, because and I'll walk around all day in costume, even during lunch, I'll keep it on because I need to still stay in the shoes.
Well, it informs the movement,
absolutely,
and his history.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's Kytano was, and I was watching last night, I thought one of the cool things was Kytano he's dressed, sort of like one of the Jaffa, but he has a cape as well. He has this beautiful flowing cape. And I remember thinking, I'm gonna try to use that, not too much, but just, every now and then I want to kind of like flex it a bit, flaunt it just a little bit.
It's reserved for the Jaffa with status.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah. Okay. Jaffa with status. And I especially with the standoff with O'Neill, I think towards the end, when Kytano sends, Tilk off on this suicide mission.
Yeah.
And O'Neill says, I forget the line that he says, but O'Neill says Kytano says he will succeed.
Yeah.
And then O'Neill says something because you want him to die.
Right. That's part of the one that I remember is you say the Jaffa will be free. And O'Neill
Yeah, but you're
goes,
fine.
to follow you. And Kytano
Yeah.
says, I grow tired of this. And I mean,
I
he's
grow
been
tired of
pushing his buttons throughout the entire episode. And, you know, at that point, if Kytano were just going to take the cape and just go, and just turn around and walk away, you wouldn't blame him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And it's like the cape lended itself for that, you know. Yeah. And I wanted to use that. So, I mean, you hit it right on the nail. Kytano says, I grow tired of this. And then he goes, it's time! He just, you know, he just walks away from him, you know, like he's this, like he's a god, you know, like you're beneath me. Goodbye.
He's king of this particular hill, and O'Neill's not treating him as such. You know,
Exactly.
He's got these guys behind him who are ready to die for him. You know,
right.
that's power.
It's power, yeah. And it was, and a lot, like, you know, again, I mean, you said it perfectly. It was how he is dressed and how he moves in that costume. It helped me a lot, you know. And also I love, I knew I was going to be doing, I'm a big fan of what a character wears in terms of shoes and boots or whatever it is. People tend to walk differently. If you're wearing loafers versus if you're wearing cowboy boots versus, you know, Converse, it literally changes your body, you know, how you move, you know. And I said, he's got to wear the right shoes. He's got to walk with confidence and dignity and, you know, grace and power. But he's also got to be able to whip some ass, you know,
Of course.
you know,
Yeah.
at the same time. Yeah. So all of it all worked out like really well. I've done a couple other projects where I had to fight wearing a suit and a tie and shoes, you know, typical Matrix sort of
Right.
thing. And I remember fighting, and I remember fighting in these really nice dress shoes, and I was like, you guys have to, and I slipped on the ground.
On the set of The Warrior?
No, it was a show
different
show I did maybe 5 years after Stargate. It was called The Fallen.
Okay.
It was a mini series.
Okay.
But the fighting on Stargate prepared me for it, because instead of fighting one-on-one with Tilk, on The Fallen, I played this warrior angel who dresses in Armani clothes. It's a lot like Morpheus from the Matrix. And he and he's fighting in these, he's badass. And he's fighting in these Hugo Boss shoes. And I said, okay, this is cool. I love the look. And I can move in this suit. That's good. You know, it's a lot easier than one might think. It's the shoes in this alley in Vancouver at 2 a.m. Like, you guys have to like do something to the soles of the shoes so I don't slip. Because I remember the first couple of takes, I couldn't get my grounding. You know, I kept, you know, like I would kick and then I'm like, whoa, you know. And then it was raining, you know, as it does in Vancouver.
Oh gosh,
said, okay,
all the time.
all the time. We need to cut and please have wardrobe do something to the bottom of these shoes. And so what they did was they put some rubber lining at the bottom, very bottom, and they stapled it on or something. And it was like walking in like trainers, athletic shoes.
Wow, it did it.
Huge difference. Oh yeah. Wow.
So how long did you? So I imagine when you went up there, you weren't immediately shooting. You had to have some time to prepare for that fight sequence.
Yeah, we rehearsed it. I remember we rehearsed it, you know, as much as we could rehearse it on an 8-day shoot, you know. And I didn't do any prep in LA or anything. I mean, it was like, okay, you're here. I think I started the next day, like the next morning. Okay. In terms of prepping for the fight.
Did Dan Shea play a part in that, the stunt coordinator?
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
good
he
guy.
did, man. And I worked with Dan he was our stunt coordinator on The Magicians, I think all 5 seasons. Yeah.
Wow.
I hadn't worked with Dan since Stargate, so you know it had been a long time. Yeah. He had a really good eye for you know, choreographing the whole thing, you know. And they told me, like you said, there was going to be sort of this revolving.
Yeah. It's like a circular track or a semicircular track where the camera slides on it, and they shoot it at a higher frame rate.
Okay.
So
yeah.
that thing must have made a lot of noise when it was running with all the film that was going through it.
Yeah. And I said, hey, this is cool. This looks like some next generation technology. I love it. I love new, like, learning stuff, you know, and it was so, I thought it was so fun, you know, and I was like, man, they're doing all this for the fight. This is going to be one hell of a fight. you know. And dude, how cool were the Brazilian Coparia guys?
Yes. Yeah. In canon, it's called Mastaba.
Mastaba. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Kytano's fighting style, it was called.
Right. Yeah.
So, it's a good thing you can walk the walk as well as talk the talk. So.
Exactly. Yeah. And just as a quick little side note, I was so inspired from this episode of Stargate in terms of the Mastaba, that I said, you know what, I'm gonna maybe sit in on a class or try to take a class in Vancouver, And I happened to have a friend who was studying. I always mispronounce it, Coparia, Mastaba.
Okay.
Yeah. And she was studying in Vancouver. She said, do you want to come to my class with me? Maybe you can sit in, or maybe you can participate. And I went one time.
What happened? They kick your butt?
Man, it was hard as hell. I am not kidding. And I was like, I humbly say, I've got training. I should be able to keep up a bit. Man, because you're doing stuff like standing on your head in 1 second, and then the next second you're on your feet, and you're doing it without any kind of break in time. It flows, and then you're moving and you're moving and you're moving, and then and I was in the wrong. I needed the very, very, very basic beginner's class.
My God.
Yeah, but it was really cool. It was really, really interesting, fascinating to watch.
The final edit of that sequence is one of the coolest fights that Stargate ever gave us, and it's definitely one of those where not only is he his end goal to take care of Teal'c, who has now put him in his place and made a challenge to the death, but he's also having a great time flashing himself like a peacock and dancing around that court. He's showing off to his crowd. And I think it's one of the reasons that, Teal'c is able to just so simply stab him right into the chest. Right, because he's so busy with impressing everyone, and the Gould traits of him are coming out. Where this thing is, not everyone's in love with you like we are. Or like you are. So.
It's man, dude, I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because like I said, I watched it twice last night, and I've watched it, of course, over the years, and I think even one time I was somewhere in a hotel or something, and I happened to flip on the TV, and it was
there it was.
There it was, and I said, oh, it's Stargate.
Yeah.
And well, it's like, hey, and it was near the beginning of the episode, so I said, okay, I can watch it in its entirety. But I watched it, and Kytano is flaunting, throughout the fight. He's making a show of it. And I totally agree with you. I just as you said that, I said, wow, you're absolutely right. That was his weakness, and that was his Achilles heel, and that's what gave Teal'c
exactly the moment. It's the main reason all the Gould fall. They're overconfident, and they're not as sharp as they think they are.
Right.
So, you have a chance to. It's with all villains, Stop telling us your grand plan. Just do it.
Absolutely. And like Daniel Jackson said, I think he said they were trying to get some intel at the beginning of the episode, some intelligence on who Kytano is, and I love that because they mentioned
he's a nobody.
Well, what we've gathered, he's kind of a nobody from a backwater planet. I believe Daniel Jackson says that. So he's trying to gather these Jaffa warriors to seek power.
You can already suggest from the circumstances that he has an inferiority complex, and so when he gets the power that he gets, it's like, more now, please, because he's never really had it. So, and that, I think that plays into it as well.
Yeah, he's never really had it, and he is, he's using this opportunity, so to get it.
So you were a fan of the show. Tell us about working with Chris and Tony and Rick and all these heavyweights.
Heavyweights, man. Heavyweights, big time. I think a lot of times people don't realize like they when you tell someone, well, I did an episode of Stargate, and then some people say, are you on Stargate? Are you a regular on Stargate? I'm like, no, but I did an episode of Stargate or an episode of Star Trek, or whatever it is. And sometimes people, sadly discovered, they don't they don't take it as seriously because you're not on the show week to week to week to week.
Yeah.
And I've kind of had to get used to that. And I'm like, well, I'm really proud of what I did, and it's a terrific episode, I humbly say. And if you want to watch it, great. If not, that's fine. No, I'm not forcing anyone to watch anything I do. I'll let them know that it's coming on. But to be on set, as you said, with these heavyweights, man, I loved it. And I was watching them and just just absorbing what they were doing, and learning from them as well. They were incredibly nice to me. When you're a guest on somebody's show, I'm not naming names or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I've had some pretty bad experiences where I wasn't treated so nicely and by the regular cast, and even the director of that episode.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah. And to have that sort of experience is not fun. It becomes a job at that point, and then you just want to be done with it and then go home. But when I got to Vancouver, everybody, starting with Peter and Chris, they were so open arms. Peter gave me his phone number right away, and then Chris. I remember Chris was like, "Hey, nice to meet you." Like, he was very, very, very nice and gracious. But I remember, I think he was waiting to see if I was the guy for the role.
Absolutely. The Jaffa are his and Tony's for all intents and purposes. You're coming into their playpen. Bring it.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. And the very first scene I did, I don't know if you knew this. The first scene I did was inside the tent.
Okay.
It was everybody. It was O'Neill, Jackson.
You're at the head of the table and they're kind of around. Okay.
It was we had just finished the fight against the Near Cheese Jaffa.
Okay.
And then we got the Zach Nicotals.
You got it. The bounty. Yeah, the spoils of war.
That was the word I had to keep practicing in my hotel room. Zach Nicotol. Zach Nicotol. You say tomato, I say tomato. Zach Nicotol. And try saying that 20 times.
But it's stuck with you. That's the important thing. That word will come in handy one day.
Exactly. I want for Christmas, I want Zach Nicotol. That's what I want.
I may be able to make that happen for you.
Hey, okay.
Okay.
Hey, I got a birthday coming up.
All right.
So we got all the Zach Nicotals, and then we were in the tent, and then O'Neill, says, "So what are you planning to do with him?" And then Kytano says, "We will give you a share of the spoils. For the rest, we require them all." you know? And then I remember seeing Chris just out of the corner of my right eye, like he was looking at me, and then he's just very, very, very subtly started doing this.
I like what I see.
I'm liking what I see without giving it all away. Like it totally could have been Tilk doing that. Like it made sense.
So you haven't done any speeches yet?
Hadn't done anything.
Okay.
Absolutely nothing. That was literally my first dialogue, first words on set was that scene. So it was a good scene to start with because I had to dive in right away. And prove character right away.
Exactly.
Yeah, and we finished. We did 2, 3 takes, 4 takes, coverage, and then Kytano leaves and says, "Come with my favorite line. Come with me to the chopper eye." I've said that at different Comic-Con conventions. Chopper eye. You just don't say that.
No, you don't.
Yeah, like it's just wonderful. I love it. It's perfect. Any real actor wants to say those words. It's amazing. So I said, "Oh, I'm going to just enjoy this. Come with me to the chopper eye." But as Kytano, like you said, with the flexing of the robe and everything, and just come with me, boom, And then we finish, and then Chris comes up to me, and he goes like this, nice job. And then at some point, I think it was just some point later in my day one. He says, "I'm going to give you, when we're done shooting, I'm going to give you my cell phone number." Then
You are family.
Yeah. Your family. Yeah, yeah. Exactly. Just like trying to get out, they bring me back in. And he said, nice job. And I said, thank you, man. And because we had never met before,
Right.
and I knew who
someone,
he was.
Yeah, you're someone you've watched.
I've watched him on Stargate, man. And probably a couple of other things, but I remember him clearly. I said, "Oh, that's Tilk, man, from Stargate." Christopher Judge. And he said, he says, "We're gonna go out. We're gonna work hard. We're gonna put in hard day's work. And we're gonna put it in the can, and then we're gonna go out."
That's right.
And he took me out. I say this, and I hope people are listening. I have never to this day had someone from another show come up to me and say, "Here's my number," and I'm guesting on their show. Yeah. "Here's my phone number. You're in my city. We're going to go out and we're going to have fun and we're going to enjoy this. For the 8 days we have together, we're going to go out, and not every night we went out, but we went out 3-4 times, and he made himself available to me and really kind of took me out around Vancouver. I've never had anyone offer that before. It's like, hey, and I'm not looking for it. Let me just first say that, but it made a difference because he made me feel welcome, and I had a lot to carry, man. I mean, that's a heady role, and he wanted to make sure that not only did I do my job on set, but that I was enjoying my time in Vancouver.
The cast and the crew of that show are exceptional, and I have them come on here now 2 decades later, and they carry the same, how do I want to put it? That it's like, okay, we're talking about Stargate now. We're going to have the same fun. We're going to take it with the same amount of seriousness and levity. Right.
Right.
Brad Wright always said, life's too short.
Brad, yeah.
So if you're going to come on the set, we're going to have a good time. We're going to make a great product that we're all proud of. And then we're going to go home, we're going to barbecue and everything else like that.
Right,
and it has not gone away. They've all carried that mantra with them, at least as far as when I bring up Stargate. Again, this is one of the Stargate playpens, what I'm trying to do here. And it's still there. It's still present. And one of the things that Chris said when the three of us were together a couple of years ago is that he had a chance to hear you. I forget the circumstance in one of your speeches before Rick was on set, and Rick got on set, and then he heard.
You mean
Richard Dean Anderson?
Okay, gotcha.
And Richard Dean Anderson got on set, and then heard you speak to the crowd, and Rick turned to Christopher Judge, and Chris went, "I told you."
Oh man. I did not know that. Thank you for telling me.
Absolutely right.
Because like when you're the guest actor comes in, hits his mark, says the lines, go home, goes home. She or he goes home.
Yeah, a lot of times that's all it is.
That's all it is. Yeah. And you come in, you come out. The show is really about the regular cast. But like for years and years, I've always wondered, like, who's seeing my audition, who's making the decision, and do you know what I mean? Like, you always wonder about that.
Mm-hmm. So much that's out of your hands.
Yeah, it's out of my hands. Yeah. So, well, thanks.
Absolutely. I want to bring in some fan questions that have been submitted.
Okay.
So there's a lot that I still want to talk to you about, and some of it actually includes this here. I could go on and on about Galactica and all this other stuff. So, but Keith wants to know.
I'm gonna drink some water.
Please proceed. So
I would normally drink some wine or some beer, but I'm cleaning up the body today. So
there you go. Keith O'Mell wants to know, what have you been interested in personally lately? So I'm guessing what he means by that is, I'm guessing entertainment or anything that has helped to distract you through these COVID times.
Oh man, yeah. I'm sure all of us have an answer for that one.
Hopefully.
What I've been doing is I've been exercising indoors a lot, and what I can do indoors. All the gyms are closed here in LA, so I've been reading. Barack's book is 740 something pages long, so
It's
I'll
a
be
long
done
one.
in a few days. It's a novel, and this is part one of two books. I think there's another one coming later. And what I've been doing, I was actually talking to one of my closest friends who lived in New York, because I was having a really rough week, man. I was like, man, this is the fatigue of being shut in. And I told her that. She said, well, you should rediscover some of the things that you love, and she was right, so I said, what, I'm going to start watching films that I love, and studied in college and over the years, so man, I've been watching some Akira Kurosawa films, like Ron and Throne of Blood, and like classic epic huge,
Yeah, nothing dainty about those.
nothing exactly right. Kagemusha, Ron, Throne of Blood, Seven Samurai, and then I started. So I've been doing that. I watched Breathless by Jean-Luc Godard. I watched 400 Blows by Francois Truffaut. I watched those yesterday, and I've seen them, but it's been a long time. But I've been sort of rediscovering my love of cinema again, and the different styles, Italian neorealism and
There's a
Prince and
ton.
Wave. Oh, it's so many. Yeah, one of my favorite films of all time is Bicycle Thieves, Vittorio De Sica. That's 1948. That film came out, and it still is one of the best things I've ever seen. And it's so touching, man.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, Bicycle Thieves. It's a man and his 10-year-old son Bruno, and post-war World War II Rome, and the guy needs a job, and he finds a job. He has to support his wife and his son and himself. He finds a job at the employment. He goes to the employment office, which is a mile long. The line is out the door, and they find a job for him as the guy who puts up movie posters on the sides of buildings, like Rita Hayworth and starring, Humphrey Bogart, but he has to be the guy that glues it on the
Actually
wall.
puts it on.
Actually puts it on, which I thought that was interesting, the kind of, because that is someone who does that. Interesting work. And they were given the money, the job that, this job only required one thing, that he had a bicycle, so he can get around town and around Rome and put up the movie posters. So his first huge challenge was finding a bicycle.
Got it.
So,
hence the name.
Yeah. Hence the name bicycle. So he finds a bicycle. He pays for this bicycle, and then he's putting up his posters, and he's happy because he's got money to support his family, like enough money, for them to make it and eat food and everything, pay for the rent and everything. And then he turns around and his bicycle is gone. Someone stole it. So the movie becomes about him and his cutest little kid. I forget the actor's name. It's amazing. Him and his son Bruno finding the bicycle. That's the movie, And man, by the time you watch, like when you're done, you're just like this.
I know.
Like tears of
I have friends who are like, oh, I don't watch anything before 1980. I don't watch anything from before I was born. It's like because I can't take it serious. It's like, boy, are you missing out? I watched Metropolis for the first time a couple of years ago, and because there's no dialogue, it's all music, and I was captivated.
Yeah.
It's the first sci-fi, really one of the first sci-fi films, if not the first of all time, and it's riveting.
And it's I'm so glad you brought Metropolis up, because it's been so many years since I've seen it. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that's 1930.
It's pretty early, yeah. I don't know how they didn't kill a number of kids when that whole underground flooded. It's like, how did they shoot some of that stuff?
I have no idea. Yeah. And like you're looking at that and you're like, that's the question I was asking yesterday. I was like, how did they shoot that scene?
How'd they get that done?
There's no CGI. There's nothing, no modern technology. But I know what I'm looking at, and how did they do it?
You don't need it. CGI's made us soft in some places, Yeah. So there is a style of filmmaking that is just, not it's kind of fading away. It's too bad.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of there's still some good stuff coming out though.
There's some great stuff out there, man. And I've been accused of probably watching a little bit too much, binge watching too much TV. So I've been watching. I binge watched Jack Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How is that with what's his face from The Office? Yeah.
Yeah.
Krasinski.
Krasinski. Yeah. He's terrific. It's a really extremely well done spy show, all about espionage and I think they shoot on location in various parts like Venezuela and London and I'm like, where are these people? I'm like, I want to be on that show.
I want to go. Absolutely.
I want to go.
Well, yeah. I mean, I imagine, there are some cases, and maybe not. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this, where I've got to pay the bills. I've got to do the work. It's not the best dialogue, but this is what I do, so I'm going to do the best I can with it.
For sure.
Not everything that you get to work on, I'm sure, is a in terms of like a product or a show, is a home run. You just can do what you can with it.
You do what you can with it, and I think one of the things that I clearly hit home for me when I did The Magicians and also the Man in the High Castle was, man, it's hard to really get, like, when you get a pilot done, and then it goes to season 1. That's an accomplishment.
Yeah, in and of itself.
In and of itself, getting the pilot picked up to go to series first of all, getting the pilot made, number 1, and then number 2, having it go to season 1 is a big deal, and I think a lot of people don't understand that, man. Like even my own parents, I don't think they really still get it, and my brother as well. Like it's not like, oftentimes, and not to fault them, but oftentimes people, someone recently said to me, why don't you tell your agent to get you on Star Trek Discovery? Like it's that easy. Like
you can just click your fingers. There's a whole process.
There's an entire process, and for even Star Trek Discovery to become Star Trek Discovery, they had to jump through 12 hurdles, if not more, So, it's not an easy feat to get something made. And then when it's made and it goes to season 1, and then you're hoping season 2. And then, I remember when The Magicians went to season 3, we were just like this. We're going to go to season 3. like the Home Alone kid. You're like,
yeah, exactly. It's a golden ticket.
Yeah. So it really is a moment to celebrate, I think something really, really cool and fun to work on and really, really good, like Stargate, Star Trek, man, I would love it, but it's not like it's exactly in the making, you know what I mean? Or at least I don't know about it. So
I was, when I reached out to you to have you on this, I had a conversation with Darren, my business partner. He said, he's in The Magicians, right? And I said, I think I'd heard about it, but and now I really want to go and see it, but I want to binge it from beginning. Is it over now? Is it finished?
It's over, yeah.
Did it get canceled or was it properly resolved?
It got canceled. We went to 5 seasons, I'm showing my age again, but when I came to LA, a season was 22 to 24 episodes.
Right.
So and now, I think especially with streaming platforms like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon,
they shoot them down so fast if they're not huge sensations.
Exactly. And the number of episodes are typically half that. They're 10, 12, 13 episodes. So we did 5 seasons of 13 episodes each season, and then Man in the High Castle was even less. It was 4 seasons of 10 episodes
10.
each. Yeah, but but you're happy to be going from season to season, regardless of how many episodes. So, yeah.
Teresa McAllister, Rick, what is your dream role that you haven't had a chance to play yet?
Oh man, I used to say Jimi Hendrix.
Okay. All right.
Purple haze all in my brain.
I could see that.
Yeah. Oh, baby, excuse me while I kiss the sky. Like yeah.
I'll buy that. I will absolutely go and buy that ticket.
I'll buy that for $1.
Oh, that's funny.
That was a reference from RoboCop.
Absolutely.
One of my favorite films is RoboCop 1.
The original, yes, sir.
The original, yeah.
Dick, you're fired. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Mighty fine shooting, son.
That's exactly right.
Man, he was just freaking amazing as RoboCop.
Yeah.
Wonderful guy. Worked with him on Odyssey 5, I think.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I did one episode of Odyssey 5, and I in Toronto, and he was just a sweetheart of a guy. But it used to be Jimi Hendrix. I will go ahead and say I'm just too old for that now. I'm twice Jimi Hendrix's age now, and
they have de-aging makeup.
Yeah,
and they have CG.
They have CG. Yeah, they did it for Brad Pitt.
That's true.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. All the way down to baby.
All the way down to the little bitty baby. Yeah, the little baby Brad Pitt.
That was so weird. Oh gosh.
I think now I'm such a superhero fanatic. I love superheroes, and I love all the Marvel Universe stuff. Some of the DC stuff. I love Wonder Woman. I'm one of the few people that love Batman versus Superman, and I'll love all of the Marvel films, all of them.
They're just fun.
They're just fun, man.
Yeah,
they're just fun, and no disrespect to Sam Jackson, but I would love a shot at Nick Fury at the character. Yeah, and he's been in my head for a few years, and I'm constantly thinking about him, like how ideas about him and his backstory, and I think that they just haven't really given Nick Fury a chance to shine. Man, he's the boss.
I agree.
But I want Nick Fury. Like, to me, Nick Fury he's the ultimate agent. He's a spy. And he's super, super badass. Well, yeah, I always see him more in the direction of like a Jason Bourne.
Yeah, that's one of the things with the frustration of Marvel being a Disney product is you can only go so dark with it, and it's like there are layers to him that we just will not get to see because the 8-year-olds have got to be able to go
exactly
to the theater. But I mean, you know what? There could be animated adaptations or something else that you could sink your teeth into for it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think anything's possible. I think especially now with Disney being the champion of Marvel stuff now, right? Is it Disney? Was it called Disney Plus?
Yes, Disney Plus.
Disney Plus, which I don't have, but everyone says I need to get it. But so we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Anything's possible.
Anything's possible.
Teresa also wanted to know, you haven't done a whole lot of narration, like audiobooks. Like one of the things that I did was check Audible. Dude, I would love to hear you narrate a book.
Man. Thank you so much, man. Gosh, man, that's so kind of you. Thank you so much. And Teresa, thank you.
Teresa.
Teresa. I have not. I've never done an audiobook, nothing like that. People have asked me that before. I have narrated a couple of documentaries.
Oh, okay.
But not a lot. Like I did one that was about a friend of mine. His wife was a producer, and the guy that she wanted couldn't narrate this documentary about kung fu.
What's its name?
I can't remember.
Okay.
It's been so many years. It's been a long time ago.
Okay.
Like 20 years ago. And she sent me over all the stuff, and I said, "This is great. I love martial arts. This is right up my alley." And I narrated in place of someone else, and it worked out fine. And I said, I would really like to do more of this. But everyone has a different experience. But the voiceover narration nut is a very hard nut to crack.
Yeah, it's not easy. You know, there's a
It's
certain
not easy, man.
pacing to it, and it's not as easy as it sounds. Pardon the pun.
It's not as easy as it sounds. And I remember I've been dying to tell this story. I'm so glad that Teresa asked that question, because I remember my agent sent me in years ago when I had a voiceover agent. She sent me in to audition for a commercial or something. But it was just, they were bringing in just 9 people. You know, it wasn't a cattle call. You know, it was like there's just 9, maybe 10 people. And I walk into the room, and there's Ed Asner sitting down, waiting to go in. You know, you're talking about a legend. You know,
Yeah.
waiting to go in. And he was so sweet and so nice. He was coming in, and then I think I was going out to use the restroom, but he was coming in. So I said, okay, they're bringing in Ed Asner to audition. And then legendary actor named Brock Peters.
I love Brock.
You know Brock Peters? Okay.
No, not him personally, but I mean, To Kill a Mockingbird, and I mean, yes. Admiral Cartwright. I mean, come on. Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely.
And Mr. Sisko.
Mr. Sisko, yeah. Carmen Jones.
Yes.
You know, Carmen Jones, like, you know, one of my favorite films, Carmen Jones.
It's terrific.
And Brock Peters is I'm sitting down, and I turn to my right, it's Brock Peters, you know, and he was the nicest, coolest dude. He was 75 years old. And he said, hello, how are you? And I said, I'm fine. You know, he's studying his lines, you know. Ed Asner comes back in, he's studying his lines. And I said, okay, this is a serious level audition, you know. I didn't get the role, but probably they gave it to a name actor at that, you know, for that. So it's a hard nut to crack.
Yeah.
Because they want a recognizable voice right away, you know, often.
I can understand, but yeah. I mean, still, I just keep fighting for it, man. I would love to hear it. It looks like one night in March in 2013, you recorded a narration for that.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, that was
basketball game. Yeah.
Yeah, Old Miss, I believe.
Yes.
I did. Yeah, I did that. I can't remember the year. It was 1953, 1954.
1963.
1963. Okay.
There you go.
Massive year for civil rights.
Yes.
1963. And I did that, and I think the gentleman was a fan of the producer. Gosh, I believe he is from Kentucky or Mississippi, because it's about Ole Miss, the basketball game. He called my agent and said, "Would your client Rick Worthy be interested in narrating my documentary?" We were going to get Morgan Freeman, but he said no.
Okay.
I mean that's.
I mean, when God turns you down, I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
So
but he knew about me only because he loved Battlestar Galactica.
Ah, there you go.
Right. So I thought that was really kind of him to say that. And we were talking, and he said, my first guy wasn't available and he wasn't interested. And I said, who's your first guy? He said, Morgan Freeman. I said, oh.
Then I'm in good company.
Yeah. I hope, you know. And and I said, look, I'll happily do this. So we did it, you know, and probably saved him a fair amount of money by not
Morgan Freeman. Oh gosh. William R. and I definitely share his sentiments on this. Did you have fun playing Jannar, the Arboreal, in Enterprise?
Oh God.
My favorite single season of Star Trek ever. And I've loved it all, but there is something about that, and a lot of people disagree with me because Enterprise is not on the top of the list. They went full bore in that season, and you were a part of that. You know, under all that fur.
Under all the, I look like Chewbacca's cousin or something. Like I had a lot of hair, and I mean, you know, I'm sure you know this. By the way, before we continue, I just love your room.
Oh, thank you.
Like I've been wanting to tell you that since we started.
Thank you.
If you have any minute towards the end, I would love for you to just tell me.
Well, if you can hang on after the show when I wind it down, we can talk a minute.
That would be awesome, dude.
So it's like, I don't want to lose him when I disconnect from him. It's like, I can't call him back. I don't have his number. So,
Yeah,
sure.
I got to get
We'll talk in a minute.
for my man cave.
I may be able to upset you.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Jannar, he didn't really, he didn't have a great deal, but I mean, he was so cool with Randy Oglesby, and I forget the name of Dolam.
Randy Oglesby.
Man.
You have, Randy's, just a sweetheart of a guy. You have Tucker Smallwood.
Tucker Smallwood, that's right. He was one of the primates.
Yep. And then, I can't remember everyone's name.
Yeah, I can't think of who it was who played Dolan, but great.
Yeah.
What a great group of cast.
Really actor, yeah. Like, it was amazing, yeah. And they like, we all gelled together pretty fast, and you know, you're in the makeup chair pretty early, and you know, you're sitting there for 2.5 hours, and they put all this stuff on you. And what I was going to say is, there are actors who can do the glue under the eyelid at 6 a.m. You know, and there are actors who cannot do it. You know, and I'm one of these actors. I love it. You know, I think it's awesome. Like, I'm like, this is great, man. You guys need me in at 5 a.m. I will be there.
Well, you're unrecognizable in that role.
Totally.
It's your voice. It's like, that's Rick. Rick's under there. So.
Yeah, it was a fun role. I love working with Scott Bakula, and everybody was really just awesome. You know, and they were really, really kind. Yeah.
Did you watch that full season?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, watch it. It's good from beginning to end.
I watched it, and I think it's I think it's awesome. I think it's really, really, really exciting. And sadly, they canceled Enterprise.
I know.
I believe right after that season.
After season, one more season, and then it ended.
One more season.
But
right.
yeah,
Okay, right.
yeah. But it was way ahead of its time in terms of doing a serialized show. You know, September 11th had happened, and you know, they wanted to take it in a different direction, and boy, they did. And you got to be a part of that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, Kevin Leach, how imposing was Chris Judge? Were you intimidated at all at first?
I think I told you guys this in Vancouver. We were doing the MGM
Dialing home, yeah.
Project for you, yeah. And I would love to talk to you about getting a copy of that if I could. But
yeah, well, I'll hook you up.
Okay, cool. I have told people just in interviews that I've done, you know, over the years, like, people say, what was it like working with Chris Judge? I'm like, well, it was awesome. It was fun. You know, we worked hard in the daytime. We went out at nighttime. You know, I love the guy. I've seen him at Dragon Con 3 years ago, you know, and I learned a lot from him. But in real life, I don't think I would stand a chance. You know, I'm like, you know, I mean, you know, Chris is, you know, I haven't seen him in a long time.
He's
but
imposing. He's only gotten bigger since the show ended.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of like size.
In size.
Yeah.
Because when we got there, I said, well, we're kind of similar height.
Yeah.
But he's just huge.
Yeah.
You know, just big. You know, like he looks like an NFL player. You know, and gentle giant. You know, and I just fell in love with him. I thought he was amazing, sweet guy to work with, you know, and because I was hoping for that. You never know until you meet someone.
Yeah,
and
especially people that you idolize in any way. They can crush your soul.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not going to name names, but yes, that's true.
Yeah. It's happened to almost all of us.
Yeah. Yeah. And so he was the opposite of that. He was just totally nice and so cool. And I kept thinking, like, how does he have time to work out, man? He must be working 14, 16 hours a day, you know, but he still maintained the bam, you know, the Jafar warrior, you know, just ultimate warrior build, you know? So I thought that was really, really awesome and challenging, I think, to maintain that over 10 years, you know. But I'm typically I'm more like my mom's brothers, like sort of tall and lean. That's just how I'm built. and you know, Chris had a good 40 pounds over me at least.
Well, since he stopped drinking, I mean, it's just like he's like become a physical version of Kratos. I mean, he's just ridiculous in size. So.
Yeah.
Raj and William want to know if a Stargate this fourth Stargate series that Brad's working on. I've been calling it SG-4.
Is there another one?
He's trying. He's trying with MGM. We'll see. If a new Stargate series does happen to get itself off the ground, would you like to come back for an additional role? And what kind of character would you like to play?
I would only want to, well, thanks for the question. I mean, I would only want to come back if it was, like a good role, either as a guest or a regular on the show, but like it would be, I would have to like it. That's all. That's my rule for anything, like I love the people, it wouldn't be a matter of, in this case, if it's the same people, if Brad, Peter's involved, I would be interested because I enjoyed working with them. But if it was a role that wasn't so much to my liking, I probably wouldn't be interested in it.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm very hopeful. So.
Yeah, for sure. And pardon me, I didn't know that until 15 seconds ago. So.
There you go. No, it's I like that you say, it would have to be the right role. I wouldn't just be, you're someone who recognizes that you have a certain amount of resources and a certain amount of talent, and I want to put it to use in this way. So, and that's sure. Really fair. So.
Yeah.
But I mean, your franchise list, holy cow, you've collected them like trading cards. I mean, it's just there's some great ones in there, man. So
there is, man. It's and I say it with all humility. I've enjoyed each one. I think they all have their own special place.
And entertainment that says something. We didn't talk about Galactica nearly enough. I mean, it just goes so deep. And I really, really detested the plan, except for the fact that Simon got fleshed out.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Well, why did you not like the plan?
I didn't like the plan because I felt like the Cylons basically say, you know what? There wasn't really a plan. We've kind of been making this up as we go along, because the mantra of the show was, and they have a plan. And it was, we were expecting this lattice work of strategy, and didn't really get that. And my other beef with it is that a lot of the characters that I loved were not in it at all. And so it was like Battlestar, if we look over here and see what's going on here. And, Simon got to shine in that. And the couple of the other characters did as well. Michael Anders, so that there were some good points about that. And I'm sure having Eddie direct was amazing. So
that was amazing. Yeah. It was a classic case of, I really needed the job. Financially needed to work again. And it was also, I was happy that, as you just said, Simon was so fleshed out, because I was, I complained to my agent. I said, they're flying me up to Vancouver to say, we agree, or I concur.
Yeah.
Just those 2 words, and cut, and you wrap, and you get back on the plane and get your ass back to
fantastic. Yeah, and it looks great. I mean, there's a couple episodes where they're all the Cylons are in one shot, but nothing was going on for you. It's like, and then the show ends, and it's like, I mean, he got shot on the bridge. What happens next? Well, here's the plan. So that was great about that.
The plan. Absolutely. Yeah. I like being directed by Eddie. He really pushed me, and all of us, and forced us to bring out the very best we can bring out, and he has a pretty, he's very focused all the time, and I like,
God, I like what an icon.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, when you look at him, when I first met him, I was like, thinking Miami Vice,
yeah.
That classic performance was amazing, and as well as all the films he's done. But he's a super sweet guy. He's sort of everyone's dad on set, but he's constantly busy all the time on the phone. If he's not on the phone, he's on, and he's ready to be on set. And but he directed us through the plan, and I remember I was really trying to break into the Comic-Con convention world circuit, and he helped me. I remember calling him. I said, hey man, things are a bit tight. I would like to break into this world. I think I have enough, experience in terms of the sci-fi. Yeah. Like
genre television. Yeah.
Genre television. Like, can you point me in the right direction? And he didn't even think twice. He said, I'm going to hook you up with someone I think she'll be a good rep for you. And I'll call her and let her know you're going to be, calling her. And that's how I got in, man.
Good for you.
Yeah. And I'm always grateful for that. He's that kind of person who, if he can help you, he will.
Good. That's great to hear about that, and how him and Michael Hogan have stayed, tight, like this, someone else who, has had some tough times lately, but yeah.
For sure, man. And I'm so glad you mentioned Michael Hogan. I love Michael Hogan. I know he's going through a tremendous physical challenge at the moment. I hope he's doing better. I recently donated to the GoFundMe.
Right,
page.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's doing really well. From what I saw, the numbers look really, really, really nice. Like, people were contributing a lot.
I'm so thrilled. I go back every couple of weeks and check it out. It's like, it could not happen for a nicer person to get that help.
Yeah. So easily one of my favorite people in Battlestar Galactica. When I was living on the west side, me and Buddy, we moved to Marina Del Rey for like 2 years. Ended up hating it, but when I was there, I remember going to 7-Eleven or something, like at 11 p.m. or midnight. There's nobody there except me, the cashier, west side of LA, it's not Hollywood, it's a lot quieter,
Yeah.
And this, how you can feel someone standing behind you, like you can just feel someone. Mm-hmm. So someone was standing literally directly behind me, and I was like, what the hell? And all I hear is this: "Are you a frickin' Cylon?" And it was Michael Hogan.
You're goddamn right I am.
Yes, exactly. And dude, I turned around. You did that very well. Very well.
That voice.
I turned around. Man, that voice and his whole performance. God damn it, Starbuck. I turned around and we looked at each other and laughed our asses off. And I said, man, oh my God, what the frack?
What the frack? Colonel, you grew your eye back.
Exactly.
Oh God.
And he's just that kind of guy.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So I'm glad. I'm so sad to hear what happened to him, but I'm so also happy that he seems to be on the
I think he's going to be okay. Last question for you, Rick. Kevin Leach, what projects of yours are upcoming that we can support? Is there anything on the horizon that we can be on the lookout for?
Not. I would say not at the moment in terms of a series or pilot, because the pandemic is just sort of shutting everything down.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be this really cool. I was in, like I said, the week before the World Health Organization declared a global pandemic. Literally my very last job was for the Cartoon Network, and I was this ancient dinosaur who's a king, and this is sort of feudal war between him and the other clan of dinosaurs over the next mountain,
Okay.
And it was so, and I said, what, this is really, it's sort of, Renaissance fair sort of, speak. And I said, this is going to be really fun, and it's for children, and it's perfect job for me. Like this is exactly what I want to do right now is I want to do cartoon and animation.
Yeah, just because it's for kids doesn't mean it's dumbed down. So.
Oh, absolutely. No. Yeah. And and on a major network, the Cartoon Network, and which I love. And so it was doubly awesome for me. And they sent me over all the stuff. I was in London when I did it. They said, well, we can do it from London. We'll find a place. So I went, and that was really fun to go to be in another country and do the voiceover. And then they're watching on Skype as I'm doing the whole thing, and they just said, hey, just have fun with it. so
That's
I
great.
made him sound a lot like, I made him sound a lot like Dean Fogg on The Magicians. But maybe turned up just
Put a
notch.
little of the Dean in there. Yeah, absolutely.
A little of the Dean.
I'm looking forward to seeing this show. I'm going to have to go turn around and watch it.
A lot of swearing in that show.
What doesn't these days? I mean, even
right.
Star Trek does.
Exactly.
I have a real problem with that one, but anyway. All right.
Yeah, well, same. Yeah.
Rick, this has been fantastic.
Yeah, man, this has been so much fun, man. Thank you so much for, I'm glad we're able to do this, and thank you so much.
Absolutely. We're going to be doing commentaries next season. I would love to have you on to have a commentary on The Warrior. And I'm hoping to get Chris. So we'll see. Will you hang on for me while I wrap up the show?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll be right back with you. Thank you so much. You take care of yourself.
Great. Bye-bye, guys.
Rick Worthy, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in to Dial the Gate. Before I let you guys go, I have fan art, Kytano fan art. The guest artist, Rogue Dragon. From my series that was inspired by Scully7491, some chibi-ish characters from my newest obsession, Stargate SG-1. Imhotep. He posed as his own ex-First Prime to try and use the Jaffa's desire for freedom against them. I guess that's what these things are called. These are chibi characters. They're kind of really cool. But yeah, Rogue Dragon. So you can submit your original art at dialthegateshow@gmail.com. Our sponsor, before I wind down, let me see, where'd my note go? Oh, here it is. Dial the Gate has partnered with 3D Tech Pro for the month of December to give you a chance to get your very own desktop Stargate and customized ancient keychain. To enter to win, you need to use a desktop or laptop computer and visit dialthegate.com. Scroll down to submit trivia questions. Your trivia may be used in a future episode of Dial the Gate, either for our monthly trivia night or a special guest to ask me in a round of trivia. There are 3 slots for trivia, 1 easy, 1 medium, 1 hard. Only 1 needs to be filled in. You're more than welcome to submit up to 3, though. Please note the submission form does not currently work on mobile devices. Your trivia must be received before January 1st, 2021. If you're the lucky winner, I'll be notifying you via your email right after the start of the new year to get your address and what word you want on your ancient keychain. And be sure to check out our partner's website for more Stargate-related merchandise at 3dtech.pro. This model of Atlantis, 3dtech.pro. Isn't it a badass? There you go. If you want something like it, go check it out. All right. I appreciate you sticking around. We're going to be having Garwin Sanford on in about 15 minutes here. I'm David Reed. My thanks to Rick Worthy, and we'll see you on the other side. All right, my friend.